If you don't change, the next 10 years will. That's the hard truth. The clock won't stop. The world won't slow down. And your life won't improve unless you step up and fix what's been holding you back. The title says it clearly. How to fix your next 10 years. Not survive them, not coast through them. Fix them, that means taking full control, not leaving your future to chance or routine. This isn't about motivation for the moment. This is about building a strategy for the next decade. One decision at a time, one truth at a time. You're not watching this to feel good for 5 minutes. You're here because something inside you knows you can't keep living the same way and expecting different results. Ask yourself, how much time have you already wasted talking, planning, overthinking, and not following through? How many years felt like repeats of the one before? If the answer stings a little, good. That means you're ready to rebuild, ready to take action, ready to stop lying to yourself and start becoming the person you were meant to be. If you're serious about changing your future, this is where it begins. Let's fix your next 10 years, one real step at a time. Number 1, admit the truth about what you've been avoiding. You want to know how to fix your next 10 years. Start by doing something most people never do. Sit down, be quiet, and admit the truth about what you've been avoiding. I'm talking about the real stuff. The stuff that keeps following you around even when you try to ignore it. Because the life you're living today is the result of all the things you've chosen to face, and more importantly, all the things you haven't. You can't build a strong future if you're still running from your past. And you can't create a better life if you keep avoiding the parts of you that need fixing. That's not negative thinking. That's reality. People waste 10 years pretending their problems will disappear on their own. They cover it up with distractions, social media, short-term pleasure, excuses, blaming others, and pretending everything is fine. But that doesn't work. Not now. Not ever. There's no progress without truth, and truth isn't something you stumble across one day. You've got to look for it. You've got to be brave enough to stop lying to yourself. Brave enough to sit alone in a room with no distractions and ask the hard questions. Why am I really not where I want to be? What part of my life feels off, but I keep pushing it aside? What am I pretending not to notice? Those are uncomfortable questions, but discomfort is a sign you're close to something that matters. When you feel that pressure in your chest, when your stomach tightens because you're starting to face the truth, that's a good thing. That means you are not asleep anymore. You don't fix 10 years by reading a quote or watching a video. You fix 10 years by doing the work people avoid, and that work begins with the truth. Not the polished version you tell others. Not the version you convince yourself to believe. The real one. The version that feels a little ugly to admit. The one that makes you say, yeah, I've been avoiding that for too long. Maybe you've been avoiding the fact that you waste time. Maybe you don't push yourself as hard as you pretend to. Maybe you've gotten too comfortable with average. Or you blame your situation on things that happened years ago. Or you wait for motivation. That never comes. Whatever it is, you already know. Deep down, you already know. But knowing isn't enough. You've got to do something with it. Admitting the truth isn't weakness. It's strength. It's the turning point. It's the moment you stop running and say, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of repeating the same mistakes. I'm tired of acting like this is okay. Because it's not okay to waste another year lying to yourself. It's not okay to carry old pain into your future. It's not okay to be the reason your life stays stuck. Here's the deal. If you hadn't admitted it, you don't fix it, period. You can read all the self-help books in the world. But if you don't sit down and confront the things you buried, nothing changes. And the next 10 years end up looking just like the last 10. That's how time disappears. That's how life slips away, slowly, quietly, through the things you ignore. You get to face your truth with both eyes open. If your habits are weak, admit it. If you avoid hard work, admit it. If you make excuses, admit it. If your mindset is full of doubt and negativity, admit it. If you've been scared to take the first step, admit it. Not to shame yourself, but to free yourself. Because once you call it what it is, you can start building something better. And here's the part nobody wants to hear. You are responsible for doing this, not your parents, not your partner, not your boss, not the economy, you, because you are the one who lives with your choices. And if your choices keep leading you down the same road, you need to stop and ask why. People think avoiding the truth will make them feel better. It never does. It just delays the pain and multiplies the consequences. What you avoid today becomes the regret of tomorrow, and regret is a heavy thing to carry. You fix your future by clearing out the things you've been pretending don't exist. So go sit with it. No music, no scrolling, no distractions, just you and the truth. And don't flinch. Let it speak. Let it tell you what's broken. Let it hurt. Because that's the beginning of change. That's where power starts. When you stop lying to yourself and finally say, I need to fix this. I don't want to live like this anymore. And when you do that, when you admit it all without running, without sugarcoating, without shifting the blame, something incredible happens. You get your power back. You stop waiting for life to improve by accident. You stop hoping someone will come save you. You start working on yourself with honesty, and honest effort changes everything. You see, most people won't do this. It's easier to pretend. It's easier to distract yourself and say, one day I'll fix it. But 10 years later, they're in the same spot, just older and more frustrated. You don't want to be that person. You want your future to look different. Then do what different people Plato. They stop avoiding. They face their flaws. They fix their patterns and their eyes. You've got time, but you don't have forever. Every day you wait, the price goes up. The longer you avoid the truth, the harder it becomes to turn things around. So start now. Don't wait for rock bottom. Don't wait for a breakdown. Don't wait for someone else to tell you what you already know. Get up, look yourself in the mirror, and say it out loud. I've been avoiding this, and I'm only doing that. That's how it begins. Not with motivation, not with inspiration. With truth, cold, honest truth. That's the door. That's the key at once. You walk through it, the work begins, and so does the change. So ask yourself right now, what part of your life have you been avoiding? What truth have you been too afraid to face? What decision have you kept putting off because it forces you to grow? Answer that and then do something about it. That's how you fix the next 10 years. That's how you stop being stuck. That's how you become someone you're proud of. It doesn't matter what your purpose looks like. It doesn't matter how long you've been off track. What matters is what you do right. Knowing what you do next. You can't change your whole life today, but you can change your direction. And that begins by admitting the truth you've been running from. Because if you fix it today, you won't have to keep reliving it tomorrow. And that's where real power lives, in truth, in action, in the decision to stop hiding and start building something better. That's how you fix your next 10 years, by being real, by being responsible, and by being relentless. One truth at a time. Number 2, cut that fake confidence and rebuild real self-respect. Most people walk around acting like they've got it all figured out. They smile at the right time. They talk loud to sound confident. They say the right words when people are listening, but deep down they feel hollow. That's not confidence. That's performance. It's fake. It's fragile. It's built on needing other people to approve of you. And if so many disagrees, it falls apart. If someone criticizes, it shakes you. If something doesn't go your way, your whole mood changes. That's not strength. That's a signal that something inside you needs real work. You don't need fake confidence. You need self-respect, and there's a huge difference between the two. Fake confidence is loud. It brags, it overcompensates. It hides insecurity behind attitude. Self-respect doesn't need to shout. It doesn't chase the attention. It's quiet, steady, and real. It comes from knowing you've done that hurt things when no one was watching. It comes from being honest with yourself, not just impressive to others. And most importantly, it's built through your choices, not through your image. If you want to fix your next 10 years, you need to cut the fake confidence and rebuild real self-respect from the ground up. That starts by admitting where you've been pretending. Maybe you talk big but flow through on nothing. Maybe you show off to distract from the fact that you feel behind. Maybe you keep buying things you can't afford to make it look like you're doing better than you are. Or maybe you constantly compare yourself online, and every win someone else posts makes you feel like you're falling short. That's not confidence. That's a distraction from the truth, and the longer you hold on to that, the more damage it does. Here's the truth. Self-respect is earned. You don't get it from other people's praise. You don't get it by posting motivational quotes. You earn it by doing things you said you would do. You earn it by living with standards. You earn it by showing discipline when it's easier to quit. And you earn it by knowing you're improving, not for attention, but because you refuse to settle. Real self-respect is when you walk into a room and don't need to prove anything to anyone. You're not trying to impress. You're not performing. You're grounded. You're effused. You've already had the hard conversations with yourself. You've already cleaned up your habits. You've already made peace with your flaws. You're not faking it. You're working on it. And let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. It's better to be real and under construction than to be fake and falling apart. There's nothing weak about saying, I don't feel strong today, but I'm not giving up. That's the foundation of self-respect. Owning where you are without pretending you're already where you want to be. You've got to stop hiding behind surface-level confidence. It's exhausting to maintain. It's fragile. One bad day and it crumbles. But when you respect yourself, you can handle the low. You don't fall apart when someone doubts you. You don't break when life doesn't go your way, because you know who you are when nobody's watching. That's what gives you power that doesn't shake when pressure shows up. And if you've been faking confidence for a while, don't beat yourself up. A lot of people were taught to fake it. A lot of people think image is more important than integrity. But that doesn't have to be your story anymore. You can strip all of that off and start building something better. You can drop the need to impress. You can stop chasing likes. You can stop waiting for people to clap for you. And you can start building the kind of strength that lasts. But be clear, self-respect won't show up overnight. It takes work. It takes consistency. It takes days when you want to quit, but don't. It takes choosing your values over your feelings. It takes doing the right thing when no one's giving you credit. But the more you live that way, the more solid you become. And that's the kind of person who doesn't just survive the next 10 years. They grow. They lead. They win. So what does that look like in real life? It means you stop lying to yourself about your effort. You stop counting it a bad day when really you didn't even try. You stop blaming your environment and start taking responsibility for your choices. It means you start keeping promises you make to yourself. You say you'll wake up early, then you do it. You say you'll hit the gym. You show up even when it's cold or inconvenient. You say you'll stop talking to someone toxic. You cut the cord and protect your peace. That'll show self-respect grows one decision at a time. It also means you stop needing validation to feel valuable. If you only feel good when someone compliments you, your confidence is borrowed. You've got to build a life where your worth doesn't depend on anyone's opinion. That happens when you start living in alignment with your values, when your actions match your beliefs, when your lifestyle backs up your words, and when you stop doing things that make you feel fake inside. Sometimes that means cutting people off, people who like the version of you that pretends. People who praise you for showing off but disappear and you show weakness. If they only respect the image and not the real you, they're not your people. Walk away. Build a circle that respects your growth, not your performance. Because when you're surrounded by people who push you to brilliance, it gets easier to let go of the act. And here's the final part of rebuilding self-respect. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be announced. You don't have to tell everyone you're changing. You just start living different. You start making better choices. You start raising your standards. You stop tolerating things that drain you, and people will notice. Not because you said something, but because your presence feels different. That's what real confidence feels like. Not forced, not loud, just solid. When you start walking with self-respect, you won't need to chase anything. Not attention, not approval, not applause. You'll already feel strong because you know what it took to get here. You'll feel focused because you're not trying to impress anyone. You'll feel peace because you're finally being honest with yourself. So look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I building real strength or just putting on a show? Am I proud of how I live when no one sees me? Am I keeping promises to myself or just hoping things will change without doing the work? Be real with yourself. That's where all progress begins. And once you strip away what's fake, what's left is something powerful, something solid, something that lasts. That's how you fix your next 10 years. Not by pretending to be confident, but by becoming the kind of person who respects themselves so deeply, they don't need to pretend at all. Number 3, delete the apps that waste your best mental focus. If you really want to fix the next 10 years of your life, you have to be brutally honest about where your time, your energy, and your attention are going every single day. Not what you wish was happening, not what you tell people is happening, what's actually happening. And if you're carrying around a phone that's controlling your mind more than you're controlling your life, that's your starting point. It's not just a distraction. It's a daily trap that quietly steals the sharpest part of your focus. Go through your phone. Look at it like your future depends on it, because it does. Ask yourself, which of these apps make me better? Be honest. Most people have filled their phone with things that kill their attention, slow their progress, and numb their ambition. You scroll, you swipe, you check for updates that don't even matter. And while it feels harmless, it's shaping your brain one wasted second at a time. And the worst part, you know it's happening, but you tell yourself it's just 5 minutes. It's not. It's your time. It's your mental clarity. It's your ability to focus long enough to build something great. You don't get another 10 years to live on autopilot. You don't get successful by default. You get successful by being intentional. Usually successful by protecting your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. You can't build discipline if your brain is trained to need dopamine every few seconds. You can't stay focused on your future when you built the habit of checking meaningless notifications every time you get bored. That's not just a bad habit. That's a mental weakness being reinforced every day, and it's happening in your pocket. The apps that waste your focus were designed to do exactly that. It's not a coincidence. You keep opening them even when you didn't plan to. They're built to hook you. They're built to feed your brain just enough noise to keep you from doing something meaningful. And the longer you keep those apps, the more control you lose. That's the truth. And nobody is coming to stop it for you. You got to make the decision to delete what's slowing you down. Not just rearrange it. Not just use it less. Delete it. Get rid of the apps that are training your mind to avoid effort. The ones that pull you away from your goals. The ones that mock in or disappear without giving you anything valuable in return. And if the first thing you do when you wake up is reach for your phone, that's your first sign that something needs to change. People say they don't have time to read. They say they don't have time to start a business. They say they can't find time to go to the gym, but they somehow have hours to scroll. They don't even realize they're trading their focus for nothing. Not for progress, not for income, not for peace, just for noise. That's the trade most people are making every single day, and it's costing them that potential. If you deleted just 3 of those attention-stealing apps, you'd probably get back to it for hours a day. That's not an exaggeration. That's time you could be using to build your body, read something useful, learn a high-income skill, or even just sit still and think clearly for once. Imagine the progress you could make in 6 months if you just reclaim that time. Imagine how sharp your thinking could become if your brain wasn't addicted to checking nonsense every few minutes. And don't say it's harmless. Don't say it's how I relax, because scrolling isn't rest. It's mental noise, and when you try to relax through it, you end up more anxious, more tired, and more distracted. That's not rest. That's mental clutter that stays with you long after you put the phone down. You want to gain back control of your attention? Then stop feeding the habits that are making you mentally weak. Start by making one hard decision today. Delete the app you open the most. Not just for a day, not just for a week, for good. Remove it from your life. See how uncomfortable it feels. That discomfort is your mind breaking free from dependency. That's what growth feels like. You'll realize something powerful the moment you stop checking your phone every few minutes. You're capable of focusing deeper than you thought. You're capable of reading full chapters, finishing full workouts, building full routines without needing constant stimulation. But you won't torpedo that version of yourself. If you keep feeding the habits that dull your thinking, if you want peace, stop chasing noise. If you want clarity, stop checking updates that don't matter. If you want confidence, stop comparing your life to people you don't even know. Every time you scroll mindlessly, you send a message to your brain that nothing important is happening right now, that your goals can wait, that your life isn't urgent. And that thinking pattern repeated over and over again is what keeps people average. Success isn't just about hard work. It's about mental clarity. It's about being able to sit still and stay focused on a task longer than everyone else who gave into distraction. It's about keeping your attention on something long enough to build mastery. You can't do that if your focus is scattered across 15 apps, 5 conversations, and a dozen empty notifications. You need to protect your brain like it's your most valuable asset because it is. You wouldn't let someone walk into your house every day and steal your time, but you let apps do it without even noticing. And the worst part is you willingly open the door for them. That's not freedom. That's addiction disguised as entertainment. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming aware. It's about making real. Choice is about what belongs in your life and what doesn't. You don't need every update. You don't need constant entertainment. What you need is space, mental space to think, to grow, and to become the person you keep saying you want to be. You've got to get serious. You've got to ask yourself, is this app helping me become more disciplined, more focused, more valuable? Or is it just giving me another excuse to avoid doing real work? You already know the answer. Now do something with it. Delete what's stealing your best mental focus, not because someone told you to, but because you're done wasting your life one scroll at a time, because you want to build something that matters, because you want your mind to be your weapon, not your weakness. And when you take that step, when you take back control of your attention, you'll notice something shift. You'll have more mental energy. You'll be able to sit longer with hard problems. You'll stop feeling constantly behind. You'll start doing things that used to feel impossible. And you'll realize the version of you that you were chasing was never that far away. It was just buried under distraction. So make the decision today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Delete the noise, reclaim your focus, build your future on clear thought at a time. Number 4, force yourself to finish things you usually leave undone. If you want to change the direction of your life, stop walking away from the things you start. You already know this. Deep down, you know the exact areas where you keep quitting. The unfinished projects, the workouts you skip after 1 week, the courses you never complete, the books you begin but never finish, the goals you set at night and ignore the next morning. This is not about talent. This is about follow-through. And until you force yourself to finish what you usually leave undone, your future will stay on hold. What most people don't realize is that every time you leave something unfinished, you train your brain to tolerate failure. Not the failure that teaches you something, but failure that comes from walking away too early. You convince yourself it's okay to stop halfway. You build the habit of quitting. And before you even begin something new, your mind already expects that you won't follow through. That's why you feel stuck. That's why motivation doesn't last. You've allowed your pattern of inconsistency to become your identity. If you want the next 10 years to look different than the last 10, you've got to develop a new kind of discipline, not the kind that depends on excitement, not the kind that lasts for a few days and fades. You need the kind of discipline that forces you to do what you said you would do, even when the feeling is gone, especially when the feeling is gone. That's where real strength begins. That's when your self-respect starts to grow again. Finishing what you start has nothing to do with motivation. It has everything to do with standards. Most people operate in feelings. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel bored, they quit. If they feel overwhelmed, they delay. But high standards don't care how you feel. High standards say, you started it. No, finish it. They don't ask for comfort. They demand consistency. And consistency is what separates people who talk about growth. from the ones who actually grow. Look around your life right now. Count the number of things you left halfway. Every single one of them is proof that your discipline needs work. And here's what's even more important. The unfinished tasks aren't just sitting there quietly. They're weighing you down. You feel them even when you're not thinking about them. They add stress. They drain energy. They keep whispering, you didn't finish again, and the more you leave undone, the heavier it all feels. You don't need more ideas. You don't need more inspiration. You need to develop a reputation with yourself that says, I finish what I start. Not sometimes. Not when it's easy. Every single time. You set a goal. You follow through. You make a plan. You complete it. You make a promise to yourself. You'll keep it no matter what. That's how self-respect is built. And until that's locked in, you'll always feel like something's missing. Start small. Pick something you've been putting off and finish it today. Don't wait for the right time. There is no right time. Do it because your future depends on it. Clean up the to-do list that's been staring at you for weeks. Finish the chapter. Close the task. Send the message. Complete the course. Put the list. Peace on the project. Do what you said you do without delay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done and done consistently. You will never feel powerful if you live in unfinished work. That lingering feeling of being behind. It's not just in your schedule. It's in your soul. It's in your habits. It's in your identity. And every time you finish something you once walked away from, you take that power back. It's not about the task. It's about what that task says about you. When you become a finisher, you stop doubting yourself. You stop questioning your potential. You stop making excuses because now your habits line up with the person you say you want to be. You know exactly what you keep avoiding. You know what needs to be done. And the truth is you don't need someone else to hold you accountable. You don't need more time. You don't need more energy. You just need to tell yourself, I'm done quitting. I'm done walking away. I'm done lowering my standards. That's the moment your life starts to change. That's when you stop building a future based on feelings and start building one based on principles. People respect finishers. Employers respect them. Clients respect them. Friends respect them. And most importantly, they respect themselves. They move through life with clarity because they're not held down by the weight of incomplete effort. That's a different level of power, a different level of peace, a different level of confidence. It's the kind that is loud, but it shows up in everything they do. This isn't about being perfect. You're going to mess up. You're going to fall off, but finish anyway, even if it takes longer than you planned, even if you have to crawl through the last part. Don't stop because it got hard. That's exactly when it matters most. Finishing when it's easy doesn't build anything. Finishing when it's hard. That's what develops your mindset. That's what proves to your future self that you can be counted on. You'll be shocked how quickly your life improves when you stop leaving things half done. Your focus sharpens. Your energy rises. Your self-image changes, not because someone you praise, but because you started proving to yourself that you're dependable. And dependable people move differently. They don't chase hype. They stay consistent. They don't need someone to watch them. They hold themselves to their own standards. They finish what they start, even when no one is looking. This is where transformation begins. Not in the exciting beginning, not in the dream, not in the talking stage, in the follow-through, in the action, in the decision to finish what most people walk away from. That's how you create a better next 10 years. That's how you shift your direction without needing anyone else to tell you what to do. You choose to show up and complete what you begin. That's the path to discipline. That's the path to a version of you that no longer backs out when things get difficult. So, here's the challenge. Take one thing you've been avoiding and finish it right now, not later, not when it's convenient, right now. And when you finish it, move to the next. Stack completions until it becomes your identity. Remind yourself with action that you're not someone who starts and quits anymore. You're someone who starts and finishes. That alone can shift the entire direction of your life. That alone can build the next 10 years into something worth being proud of. Number 5. Pick one skill and get ridiculously good at it. If you really want to fix your next 10 years, stop trying to be good at everything and decide to become exceptional at one thing. That one skill, whatever you choose, can change your entire life. It can open doors that are locked to most people. It can give you leverage in any situation. It can put you in rooms where general effort is ignored, but excellence is rewarded. But none of that happens until you get serious about mastery. Not average, not decent, not good enough, be ridiculously good. The world doesn't pay average. It rewards precision. It rewards the person who's willing to dig deep into one craft and make themselves unshakably valuable. Look around. The people who earn more, lead more, and influence more aren't doing 100 different things. They picked a lane. They committed. And they kept sharpening that skill until it became a weapon they could carry anywhere. That's the difference between struggling and rising. That's the gap most people never cross. The truth is most people stay broke, stuck, or replaceable because they never go deep. They learn a little off this, a little of that, but never get to a point where someone says, "You're the one I want for this." They don't have a skill that speaks for them when they walk into a room. They don't have a body of work that says, "I've put in that time when everyone else gave up," and that's what makes the difference. Not potential, but proof. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want to move past struggle and insecurity and into purpose and control, you need to start treating your skill like a responsibility, not just something you practice when you feel like it, not something you do casually on the weekends. Make it part of your daily identity. Show up to it like your future depends on it, because it does. There's something powerful about watching a person who takes their craft seriously. You can feel it. Their focus is sharper. Their energy is different. They're not looking around at what others are doing. They're locked in. They're obsessed with doing it better than yesterday. That level of intent doesn't come from wishing. It comes from discipline. And that discipline is the foundation for a future that actually moves forward. This isn't about chasing passion. This is about building value. Your skill doesn't need to be glamorous. It just needs to be something the world needs and something you can dominate through consistency and attention to detail. Most people are waiting to feel passionate before they go all in. But passion grows when you improve. Confidence grows when you start getting results. And results grow when you stop dipping your toe in and start going all way in. Pick a skill and go to war with it. Study it deeply, practice it daily. Make it something you can explain, teach, apply, and sell. Make it part of your identity. Build routines around it. Set specific improvement goals for it. Track how you're progressing. And most importantly, don't stop when you get bored. Boredom is not a signal to quit. It's a test to see if you're serious. People switch too soon. They quit when it gets repetitive. They stop right before they break through. And that's why most people don't stand out. It's not because they aren't capable. It's because they're distracted. They jump from one thing to another, hoping something will finally stick. But nothing sticks without consistency. Nothing becomes great without long hours of repetition. If you can tolerate the repetition, you don't deserve the results. You only need one skill to change everything. One skill to turn frustration into income. It's one skill to open opportunities that others can't see. One skill to make you valuable in any industry, but you've got to decide what that one skill will be, and then treat it like your life depends on it. There's freedom in becoming great at something. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to beg for chances. You don't have to chase approval. When you're skilled, people notice. People come to you. They remember you. They trust you because you've proven through your work that you're the real deal. And that's what separates people who wish for success from people who own it. If you don't know which skill to choose, look at what you're naturally drawn to and ask, if I mastered this, where could it take me? Think beyond the moment. Think beyond this year. Think about where you could be in 5 years if you showed up every day and improved by just 1%. That's not fantasy. That's real progress. And it's available to anyone who takes their development seriously. You don't need to be naturally talented. You just need to commit. You don't need to be the best right now. You just need to start and refuse to stop. Most people will fall off. Most people won't keep going when it gets uncomfortable. Most people will settle for average. That's your advantage. Outlast them, outwork them, outfocus them. And while they waste time switching paths again, you'll be climbing in the same direction with stronger legs, deeper roots, and results that speak for themselves. And make no mistake, this won't be easy. It will be repetitive. It will be frustrating. It will feel slow, but it will also be the most powerful thing you've ever done for your future. Because when you become amateur at something, you no longer worry about being replaceable. You no longer fear losing your job. You no longer feel behind. You move with purpose because you know what you bring to the table. You can't afford to waste another year dabbling. You can't afford to let another decade pass while you jump from one thing to the next hoping something sticks. Choose your skill and build it like it's the foundation of your freedom, because it is. Don't wait until life forces you to adapt. Don't wait until your back's against the wall. Do it now. Do it while others are distracted. Do it while the results are quiet. And when the time comes, your work will speak for you. You're not stuck. You're not broken. You're just unfocused. Once you fix that, everything else will begin to shift. Clarity comes from commitment. Confidence comes from showing up. And freedom comes from becoming the best at something that the world needs. So stop overthinking. Pick one skill. Go all in. Get so good they can't ignore you. Not for attention, not for praise. For yourself, for your future, for the version of you that's tired of waiting and ready to rise. This is how the next 10 years becomes something you're proud of, by making one clear decision and backing it up with relentless focus and action day after day, year after year, until it changes everything. Number 6, fix your weekends if you want a better life. If you're serious about fixing your life, you need to look at how you spend your weekends. Most people don't realize it, but that's where their future is either being built or destroyed. The weekend isn't just free time. It's a test of discipline, a test of priorities, and a test of what you value when nobody's telling you what to do. You can lie to your boss about how productive you are during the week. You can post like you're working on something big, but the truth always housed up in your weekends. You don't need a perfect schedule to improve your life. You just need consistency. And your weekend is the part of the week most people waste completely. They wait all week for it, and then they throw it away. They sleep in with no reason. They eat whatever. They watch shows they don't even care about. They tell themselves they're resting, but they ain't resting. They're escaping the stress, escaping their goals, escaping the pressure of what they know they should be doing. And when Monday comes around, they feel behind again. They feel stuck. They feel like they're chasing something but can't catch up. That's not random. That's the cost of a careless weekend. You can't expect to have a focused, driven, powerful week if you keep spending your weekends like they don't count. They count more than you think, because what you do with those days shows what you're really committed to. This doesn't mean you can't relax. This isn't about becoming a robot. But there's a difference between rest and avoidance. Rest is earned. Rest is planned. Rest is something you build into a schedule. That already includes growth, learning, planning, and action. Avoidance is something you do because you're tired of yourself, because you don't want to think, because you're pretending you're okay with how things are going, even when you're not. The weekend can be your advantage if you use it right. When everyone else is checking out, you can check in. You can use those hours to reset your focus, build new habits, finish what you started, or get a head start on what's coming. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need a perfect system. You just need to make better choices, wake up earlier than usual, plan your meals, clean your space, read something that sharpens your thinking, exercise with intention, call someone who pushes you to grow, reflect on your week, what worked, what didn't, and what needs to change. That's how people grow while others stay the same. Not because they have more time, but because they use their time with clarity. They don't treat the weekend like a break from reality. They treat it like a chance to build a better one. And that's the kind of thinking that changes everything. That's what separates people who always feel behind from the ones who move with quiet confidence. Look at your weekends honestly. Are they helping you or hurting you? Are they filled with purpose or packed with distractions? Are you finishing the week stronger or just recovering from poor decisions? You can't build a strong future on weak weekends. That's the truth most people don't want to face. They want to believe success is about what happens during work hours. But your real habits show up when no one's watching, when there's no pressure, and when the schedule is wide open. Most people live for Friday. They celebrate the escape. They count down to doing nothing. That mindset alone is dangerous. If you spend 5 days of your week waiting for 2 days to do nothing, you're not building a life. You're surviving one, and that cycle will eat your time year after year until one day you wake up wondering where it all went. Your weekends are not your enemy, but after you keep treating them like dead time, they'll slowly become the reason your goals keep stalling. You don't need time all day. You just need to take back a few key hours and do something useful with them. Plan your next 7 days. Work on your craft. Write your goals. Reflect on what's draining you. Prep your environment for better habits. That's how to use time instead of losing it. You don't need permission to make your weekends productive. You don't need someone to push you. You already know what needs to change. You've already felt the guilt of another wasted Sunday night. You've already had enough Mondays that start with regret. So do something different this time. Don't just make a plan. Follow through. Don't just talk about what you should do. Prove it to yourself with action. Start with one weekend. Use it like it matters. Do something with intention. Cut out the lazy hours that give you nothing. Stop checking your phone like there's something new waiting to change your life. Nothing's coming. You've already got what you need. You've got time. You've got energy. You've got a mind that's capable of more. You just have to stop throwing those things away for cheap relief. One powerful weekend can give you momentum. 2 in a row can shift your mindset. A month of better weekends can reset your entire lifestyle. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things consistently, and you already know what hoes are. You don't need more information. You need to stop making excuses for wasting the time you keep saying you don't have enough of. Think about where you want to be in 1 year. Now ask yourself this. If I keep using me weekends the same way I did the last 3 months, will I get there? If the answer is no, then you got your answer. It's not your job holding you back. It's not your environment. It's not your lack of resources. It's your habits. When the world stops demanding your attention, take back your weekends and you'll take back your life. Protect those days like they're sacred. Don't let every invitation pull you away from your priorities. Don't let every craving distract you from your standards. Don't wait until you feel like it. Use your discipline. And if you don't have discipline yet, start building it right here, right now. One decision at a time. 1 hour at a time, 1 weekend at a time. This is not about being perfect. You'll slip. You'll waste time. You'll fall into old habits. But if you keep showing up, if you keep improving how you spend those 2 days, something changes. You'll stop dreading Mondays. You'll stop feeling like time is slipping through your hands. You'll start waking up with clarity, with strength, and with the kind of self-respect that comes from doing what most people won't. Your life is shaped in the quiet hours, the ones nobody claps for, the ones you think don't matter. That's where transformation hides. That's where confidence is built. Your weekends are full of those hours. If you stop giving them away, make a new choice this week, not a temporary one, a lasting one. Choose to live different. Choose to act different. Choose to be the person who doesn't waste their future just because it's Saturday. You fix your weekends and your whole life begins to shift. Not all at once, but piece by piece. And it starts with what you do next. Number 7, do something uncomfortable daily until fear loses control. Fear controls too many people. It tells them what to do, what not to try, and who not to become. Most people don't realize how much of their life is being quietly dictated by fear. They stay in jobs they hate, not because they can't leave, but because they're scared of what comes next. They avoid conversations that need to happen, not because they don't care, but because they fear the discomfort of honesty. They say no to opportunities, not because they're not capable, but because fear has convinced them they're not ready. And the truth is, they're not stuck. They're just scared, and fear, when left alone, grows. It becomes stronger every time you listen to it. You don't beat fear by thinking about it. You don't get stronger by wishing you felt braver. The only way to weaken fear is to act while it's still there, not after it goes away, not when the timing is better, but while it's present. That's how you retrain your brain. That's how you shift from anxiety to power every time you choose to do something uncomfortable. Fear loses a little more control over your life. You don't have to start big, you just have to start. Pick something small that makes you hesitate and do it anyway. Say what you need to say. Speak up when your voice shakes. Show up where you feel insecure. Push through when every part of you wants to retreat. You do that once and fear shrinks. You do it again tomorrow and it shrinks more. You keep doing it daily and eventually it's not in charge anymore. Most people let fear write their rules. They say things like, "That's just not who I am," or "I've never been good at that," or "I don't like taking risks," but what they really mean is, "I'm afraid of failing," or "I'm afraid of being judged," or "I'm afraid to feel exposed," and that's okay. Fear is natural, but letting it shape your future is a choice, and if you don't challenge it, it will continue to shrink your world. The people who grow the most aren't fearless. They just stop obeying fear. They walk into it. They put themselves in uncomfortable situations on purpose. They make it a habit to lean into what they usually avoid. That's not because they enjoy discomfort. It's because they know what's on the other side of it. Growth, peace, strength, confidence. None of those things come without friction. They're built in the exact places most people run from. So the question is, what have you been avoiding? What hard conversation have you postponed? What challenge have you delayed because fear convinced you it's not the right time? What new habit have you put off because it feels too hard? You already know you've been carrying those thoughts for days, weeks, maybe even years, and they didn't go away. They just sit in the background quietly reminding you that you haven't dealt with them yet. If you want to fix the next 10 years, start with your relationship with discomfort. Stop running from it. Start using it. Start stepping into it every single day. Make it your routine. Wake up and ask yourself, what's the one thing today I didn't want to do because it scares me? Then do exactly that. The more you lean in, the more alive you'll feel. Fear might still be there, but it won't own you anymore. People talk a lot about confidence, but confidence doesn't come from compliments. It comes from evidence. It comes from proof that you can do hard things, that you can survive discomfort, that you can take action while afraid and still move forward. Confidence is built when you act against resistance and prove to yourself that you're stronger than the emotion trying to stop you, and it doesn't need to be dramatic. Doing something uncomfortable could mean calling someone and telling the truth. It could mean waking up earlier and showing up when you usually sleep in. It could mean hitting the gym when you don't feel ready. It could mean posting your work even when you're scared of being judged. It could mean applying for the opportunity you feel unqualified for. It doesn't matter what it is as long as it challenges the part of you that usually stays quiet. Comfort feels good short term, but long term, it's one of the most dangerous places you can live in. It creates a false sense of safety. It tells you that avoiding stress means protecting yourself, but what you're actually doing is just limiting yourself. You're avoiding pain by avoiding growth. And you can't have both. You can't stay comfortable and reach your full potential at the same time. Every time you avoid discomfort, you reinforce weakness. Every time you step into it, you build strength. That's the trade. And you get to decide which one you want more. Easier evolution. You won't always want to choose the hard thing, but that's why discipline exists to carry you. When motivation disappears, you'll notice something strange. When you start doing the uncomfortable thing daily, you'll begin to fear it less. What once triggered anxiety will start to feel normal. What once seemed impossible will feel like part of your routine. That's how humans adapt. We're wired for growth, but growth only kicks in when the environment demands it. So, demand more from yourself. Create a lifestyle that requires you to keep growing. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. Fear will always give you a reason to delay. You're not ready. You might fail. People might judge you. But here's the truth. You might not be ready. You might fail. People might judge you, and none of that matters because the real win isn't perfection. It's showing up in spite of all that and owning it anyway. Nobody grows by staying safe. Nobody builds a meaningful life by avoiding discomfort. And nobody fixes their future by doing only what feels good. You build something strong by facing what scares you until it stops having power over you. That's how you regain control. That's how you create peace, not by escaping fear, but by confronting it so often that it stops leading your decisions. So make a new rule for yourself, one uncomfortable action every day, no matter how small, no matter how awkward, no matter how much your mind tries to talk you out of it. Do it anyway. You'll be shocked at how quickly your mindset shifts, your inner voice gets stronger, your actions get bolder, and fear starts to lose its grip. This isn't theory. This is psychology. Repetition rewires the brain. Exposure builds tolerance. Consistency rewrites identity. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize that fear isn't driving anymore. You are. Your choices, your discipline, your standards. That's when everything changes. Not because fear vanished, but because it no longer runs your life. And all. That starts with one uncomfortable action every day, until your habits are stronger than your fear, until your future is shaped by courage, not avoidance, until your life finally becomes what you know it's meant to be, not someday, but now starting with what you do today. Number 8. Stop explaining yourself and let results speak loud. You don't need to keep explaining yourself. You don't need to tell everyone what you're working on, what your plan is, or why you're doing things differently now, because the truth is, people don't need another explanation. They need evidence. They need results. And until you start delivering real outcomes, all your words are just noise. You don't get respect by talking. You earn it by showing up, staying focused, and producing results that can't be ignored. It's easy to get caught up in the habit of explaining. You want people to understand you. You want them to support you. You want them to see your effort and believe in your direction. But at some point, you've got to understand that approval is not the goal. Proving yourself with words never builds anything. Real growth happens in silence. When you're busy trying to explain every decision, you waste energy that could be used for action. You're not here to convince anyone. You're here to build something that speaks for itself. Stop waiting for people to understand. They don't have to understand, and they don't need to get it. They don't need to agree. What matters is that you stay locked in on what you know you need to do. Because if you're always trying to justify your moves, you'll end up shrinking your goals to fit their comfort. You'll keep adjusting your path to earn approval instead of results. That's how dreams die quietly, by being explained to Musha and executed. To little, people respect consistency more than explanation. They might not get it today, but if you stay focused, they'll see it later. And when they see it, you won't need to say anything. The results will speak for you. They'll tell your story. They'll show your values. They'll reflect your standards. But none of that happens if you keep trying to manage everyone's opinion along the way. You have to make peace with being misunderstood. Not everyone is going to believe in you. Not everyone is going to clap when you change. Not everyone will agree with how you're doing things, and that's okay. Their approval won't build your future. Their comfort won't make you stronger. What matters is how you respond. When they doubt you, do you go back to explaining, or do you go deeper into your work? The people who win long-term don't waste time defending themselves. They focus on their discipline. They protect their peace. They invest in the next step, not the next argument. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're trying to become someone they can respect when they're alone. And that kind of person doesn't need applause. They need alignment. Alignment with who they said they'd be. Alignment with the habits that lead to the life they want. That's what keeps them going when nobody's watching. If you want to build something meaningful, you have to grow past the need to be understood. You have to learn how to keep your head down and do the work anyway. Even when nobody notices, even when they doubt you, even when they talk behind your back, let them. That's none of your business. Your business is your effort. Your business is your progress. Your business is turning your potential into proof. There's a quiet kind of power in someone who doesn't explain. They don't announce what they're doing. They don't talk about their hustle. They don't try to convince you they're changing. They just change. They just move different, and you know the sight. Not because they said something, but because their life looks different. Their body changed. Their money changed. Their circle changed. Their mood changed, all without a single announcement. That's what real power looks like. It's time to stop announcing everything you're going to do. It's time to stop defending your decisions to people who aren't on your path. It's time to stop trying to be understood by people who've already decided not to get it. Use that energy to sharpen your skill. Use that energy to build habits that nobody can take from you. Use that energy to make your next move so strong. Nobody can question it when they see the results. If someone doesn't believe in you, don't argue. Let your results speak. If someone thinks you can't change, don't try to prove it with words. Show them with your actions. Not once, not twice, over and over, until the old version of you is gone. Until your new life is so real, so visible, so undeniable that there's nothing left to explain. That's when people finally listen, not to your words, but to your results. You don't owe anyone a breakdown of your process. You don't have to justify how you spend your time. You don't have to explain why you cut certain people off or why you disappeared for a while. The right people will understand by watching you grow. The wrong people don't need an explanation because they were never going to support you anyway. There's nothing more powerful than becoming the person who no longer needs to talk about what they're doing. You just do it. You wake up. You put in the work. You stay focused. You stay disciplined. And day by day, your life begins to change slowly at first, then all at once. And people who didn't believe in you, they'll either stay quiet or pretend. They always did. But you won't care because you weren't doing it for them. You were doing it for the person you knew you could become. So if you're tired of explaining yourself, good. That's the first sign you're ready to level up. That's the sign you're done wasting energy on empty conversations. That's the moment when you stop needing permission and start building without distraction. Let your discipline speak. Let your transformation speak. Let your lifestyle become your message. You don't need to talk louder. You need to move smarter. You don't need more people to agree with you. You need more days off quick execution. That's where the power is. That's where respect is built. That's how you move from being ignorant to being undeniable. Not with promises, not with explanations, but with results that nobody can argue with. Let your success speak. Let your habits speak. Let your work speak. And let your silence become louder than anything you could say. Because when you stop explaining and start delivering, you stop chasing validation and start becoming unstoppable. Number 9, cancel time with people who drain your hunger. If you want to change your life, look around and pay attention to who you're spending your time with. Not just who makes you laugh or who you've known the longest. Pay attention to who makes you better and who slowly makes you settle. Because whether you realize it or not, people affect your hunger. They either feed it or they starve it. And if you keep spending time with people who drain your hunger, don't be surprised when your goals feel distant. Your motivation disappears. It doesn't take much to lose your edge. One lazy conversation, one sarcastic comment, one friend who keeps reminding you to relax every time you try to level up. One group that keeps repeating the same problems without solving them. Over time, all that negativity, doubt, and distraction adds up. And without evidencing, you start lowering your standards just to keep the peace. You start shrinking your ambition so you don't feel out of place. You stop talking about your goals because you're tired of defending them. And eventually you start living smaller, not because you're not capable, but because you're surrounded by people who gave up a long time ago. You've got to get serious about protecting your hunger. That drive inside you to do something more with your life, that's not random. That's the part of you that knows you're built for better. But that part can be silenced if you're around the wrong energy for too long. The wrong people make progress feel unnecessary. They make discipline seem extreme. They make ambition sound arrogant. And if you don't cancel time with them, you'll slowly become one of them. Nobody wakes up and says, I want to lose my fire. It happens gradually. You hang out with people who complain about everything. You listen to people who make excuses instead of taking ownership. You surround yourself with people who are more focused on entertainment than growth. And after a while, their habits become your habits. Their limits become your limits. Their mindset becomes your default, not because it's right, but because it's familiar. That's how people waste decades, by adapting to an environment that never demanded more from them. You don't have time for that. Not if you're serious about your future. Not if you are tired of playing small. You need to start canceling time with anyone who makes you question your growth. Anyone who laughs at your discipline. Anyone who rolls their eyes when you talk about your vision. You don't need their approval. You need distance. You need space. To breathe again, you need clarity that isn't clouded by someone else's limitations. Some people are only in your life because you haven't made a decision yet. You haven't drawn the line. You haven't said enough. So they keep showing up. They keep pulling you into their patterns. They keep distracting you with conversations that don't build anything. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone access to your time. You don't have to explain why you're unavailable. You don't have to apologize for outgrowing people who don't want to grow. Growth is personal and sometimes it's lonely. But that's the price you pay to become someone you're proud of. You'll know who drains your hunger. They're the ones who are always negative, always complaining, always gossiping, always doubting. You'll have their presence feeling heavier, not lighter. And if you're honest, you've been tolerating it because it's familiar, because it's easier to stay quiet than to walk away. But easy doesn't build anything. Easy keeps you average. Easy costs you your potential. You've got to decide what matters more, comfort or growth. You can't have both. If someone's presence makes you second guess your goals, that's not a friend. That's a weight, and you've been carrying too many of those for too long. You can't fix your next 10 years if you're tied to people who only live in the past. You can't build momentum when you keep getting pulled back into old habits, old patterns, old mindsets. It's not about being cold. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone. It's about choosing who you allow to influence your energy, because energy is everything. It determines how you think, how you act, and how you show up. And if your energy keeps getting drained, don't blame your circumstances, blame your boundaries, then change them. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to send long messages or have dramatic conversations. Just quietly reclaim your time. Spend it with people who challenge you, not people who drain you. Spend it around people who make you feel more alive, more capable, more focused. That kind of people who talk about goals, action, improvement, ideas, effort. That kind of people who don't just clap for your growth, they live it too. You'll be surprised how much faster you move when you remove the wrong voices. You'll think clearer. You'll feel lighter. You'll get more done, not because you changed your strategy, but because you changed your environment. You don't rise by accident. You rise by putting yourself in places where rising is normal. And that starts by canceling time with people who make you feel like your goals are too much. This decision is hard. It might make you feel guilty, but guilt fades. Regret doesn't. You don't want to look back and realize you stayed stuck because you couldn't let go of people who were never growing with you. You don't want to look back and realize you spent years playing small to keep someone else comfortable. Your future deserves better, and the truth is, you're not helping anyone be shrinking. The best thing you can do for the people around you is grow. Become someone who inspires them to rise too. But that doesn't happen by staying stuck at their level. So take inventory. Who are you spending time with? What kind of energy do they bring? What kind of habits do they encourage? Do they challenge you or comfort you into staying the same? Do you feel energized or drained after spending time with them? These answers matter more than you think because they'll tell you whether your circle is holding you back or helping you build. Don't make excuses for people who hold you down. Don't keep waiting for them to change. If they wanted to grow, they'd be doing it. If they respected your path, they'd support it. You've got goals to chase. You've got a life to build. You don't have space for distractions that dress themselves as friendships. Cancel the time. Reclaim your hunger. Build your future in silence. Let your efforts speak. Let your growth prove everything. and let the distance remind you of how much more you're capable of when you're finally surrounded by people who want more, too. Number 10. But track how often you lie to yourself and stop. The most dangerous lies are not the ones you tell others, they're the ones you tell yourself. And most people don't even realize how often they do it. They say they're trying when they're not. They say they'll start tomorrow knowing they won't. They say something came up when really they just didn't want to be uncomfortable. These lies feel small in the moment, but they add up, and over time they destroy self-respect. They create a life full of promises that never turn into progress, and worst of all, they convince you that your lack of results is due to bad luck, when in reality, it's because you kept lying to the person in the mirror. You haven't fixed your next 10 years by setting goals and waiting for motivation. You fix them by getting brutally honest about the habits, thoughts, and excuses that are keeping you stuck. The lead doesn't always sound loud. Sometimes it sounds like, I don't have time, or I'm too tired, or I'll do it later. But underneath every one of those lines is a truth you're refusing to face. Maybe you're not tired. You're undisciplined. Maybe you're not too busy. You're just distracted. Maybe you're not confused. You're just afraid. That's the truth. And truth hurts when you've been avoiding it for too long. You can't keep living on autopilot, saying one thing and doing another. That gap between what you say and what you do is where stress lives. That's where frustration grows. And the longer you lie to yourself, the harder it gets to believe in yourself. Because deep down, you know the truth. You know when you've been slacking. You know when you've been avoiding the work. You know when you've been pretending to improve while quietly staying in the same place. And if you don't fix that, nothing you build will last, because it's all sitting on a weak foundation. Start tracking it, not once, not just when you'll feel guilty every day. Pay attention to your thoughts. Watch your language. Catch yourself when you say, I'll just skip this one time. Catch yourself when you say, I've been doing my best. When you know there's more in you, catch yourself when you say this isn't a big deal. When you know it's becoming a pattern, write it down. Be uncomfortable with it. Don't let yourself brush it off, because those are the lies that keep people average. Not because they're not smart, not because they're not talented, but because they can't stay honest with themselves long enough to change. When you lie to yourself, you destroy momentum. You waste time building an identity that doesn't match your reality. You start believing you're trying everything when really you're is doing what's easy. You start believing you're being patient when really you're just avoiding the real work. And nothing will change until you stop doing that. Nothing. The truth is you don't need more time. You need more truth. You don't need more chances. You need more self-awareness. And that starts by confronting the hard questions most people never ask themselves. Like, am I really doing what I say I want to do? Or am I performing for other people while staying stuck in private? Am I chasing growth, or am I just collecting knowledge and avoiding action? People like to say they're working on themselves, but most of the time that just means thinking about changing without changing. That's a lie, too. You don't grow by talking about growth. You grow by catching the gap between what you know and what you actually do. You grow by saying, I've been lying to myself and I'm done with that. That's where everything starts. You stop running. You stop pretending. You stop blaming. And you start telling yourself truth, even when it stings, especially when it stings. Because that sting is a signal. That sting is that pain of growth, waking up, and most people numb it. They distract themselves. They blame others. They turn the music up. They scroll. They vent. They make excuses, anything to avoid sitting in the truth. But the few who face it, the ones who get quiet and listen to the uncomfortable voice inside, they're the ones who change. There's no shame in lying to yourself. Everyone has done it. But there's danger in normalizing it. Because once you stop expecting honesty from yourself, you lower your standards without even realizing it. You start tolerating habits you know are hurting you. You start accepting results you know you'll cold improve. You start living with a version of yourself that you no longer respect. But you're too numb to do anything about it. That's how time slips away. Not through massive failures, through small lies repeated daily. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be real. You need to wake up and start asking, Am I doing what I say to do? Am I putting in the level of effort I expect results from? Am I moving like someone who's serious about change? Or am I just saying the right words while doing the same old things? Your future depends on your answers, and you don't owe those answers to anyone else. You owe them to yourself because you're the one who lives with the consequences of your habits. You're the one who feels the pressure of not following through. You're the one who carries the weight of another day wasted. So, be honest, be clear, be ruthless. Not to beat yourself up, but to rebuild the kind of life that doesn't require pretending anymore. You want to build confidence, keep promises to yourself. You want to create change. Start living like your words matter. You want peace. Stop lying. Peace doesn't come from comfort. It comes from knowing your actions match your vision. It comes from knowing you're not hiding anymore. That kind of peace can't be bought. It has to be earned, and it starts with the decision to live in truth every single day. Nobody can do this for you. Nobody can tell you how many lies you've told yourself. You have to watch for them. You have to track them. You have to say that's not true. When your brain tries to sell you an excuse, that's how to take control back. That's how you stop being fooled by your own comfort. You interrupt the pattern. You tell yourself the truth, and then you act like it matters. You don't need a perfect plan to change your life. You need a clean mirror, one that doesn't distort your reflection, one that shows you the good and the bad, one that reminds you that you're not too far gone, but you are responsible. The moment you stop lying to yourself is the moment you get your power, because now you're building on something real, and real always lasts longer than performance. So don't just track your habits, track your honesty. Pay attention to the small lies that sneak into your day, that I'll do it later, that this isn't a big deal, that I don't feel like it. Catch them, stop them, replace them with action, and watch how fast your life begins to shift. Not because of magic, but because the truth backed by action changes everything. One decision at a time, one honest day at a time, until you become Simeon, who no longer needs to lie to move forward. The next 10 years of your life will be shaped by what you start doing today, not tomorrow, not next month, today. You've got the truth now. You've seen the patterns. You've heard the steps. The only thing left is action. If something hit you deep, don't just feel it. Do something with it. Fix what needs fixing. Change what's been dragging you down. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need a clear decision and the discipline to follow through. Your future isn't waiting. It's being written right now by what you choose to do.